Hello and welcome to Lesson 5, and we're talking about the introduction to budgets today. I can successfully describe a budget and create a budget for a real-world application. So again, here's something extremely practical for you because when you get out into the real world, when you move out from your current location and you need to take care of yourself, it's important that you can determine if you can afford something. So what is a budget? A budget is a summary of your income and expenses. All right, so it's a nice, tidy summary of all the money that you have coming in, and it shows all the money that's going out, so your expenses. So it's usually in a chart form, and I'm going to go through a couple of examples in a second. There's two terms or things for terminology that they often use. You'll hear accountants use and some business people use. The red and the black. The red is not a good thing. The red means in debt, or in terms of a budget, you are overspending. Okay, you're spending way too much money. All right. In the black means you are saving money, or underspending. All right. But I mean, the term I like better is saving money. So black is good, red, not so good. So what does a budget look like? Yours could look like this, very simple. Probably these are two examples of high school budgets. So yours you can model when you do the worksheet or do an assignment. You can model yours on this. Okay, but what you got to do is you got to think to all the stuff that you spend money on during a given week. And for some, you're not doing any spending because you're in a situation where whoever's at home, mom, dad, they're kind of taking care of everything for you. Some others they have to have a part-time job and work. So it all kind of depends. So some people are going to be able to look at this and relate right away. Some of you will have to look at this and realize that your current situation is not going to continue and that you're going to have to take stuff like this into consideration. So the question wants us to analyze the following budgets and draw conclusions. So we need to come up with a conclusion for each of these individuals. So let's look at my friend Tommy. When you're doing a budget, you usually color code the items. Now, I didn't bother doing that because I wanted to talk about whether we have pluses or minuses here. So an allowance is an income. All right. So in your spreadsheet, this would be positive. All the others require you spending money. So Tommy spends $50 a month, or a week, sorry. What are we doing here, per week? Yeah. So he's spending $50 eating with friends. He goes to one movie a week, spends money. Apple Store purchases, so updating all his apps and War of Clans and all that jazz. Spends $30 on clothes per week. That could be average. Remember, you're likely saying, well, what can you buy for $30? Well, you don't buy a pair of jeans every week. So if you take up all your purchases and divide it out, $30 is the average. Snacks, so on the way home, stopping at Mac's or Timmy's. And finally, you're eating out every day at lunch. Not a good thing. Costs a lot. All right. So when we go through and do the tally here, I'm going to start with all the positives and add them up. Now, unfortunately for Tommy, he's just got the 1. So on the calculator, I'm simply going to go 150. And then all of these get taken away or subtracted. All right. So we make a conclusion here for Tommy. So we take away the 50, take away the 15, the 15, the 30, the 40, and 35. We end up with an answer of negative $35. So that means, so we can see that Tommy is clearly in the red. Red is bad. So he's losing $35 a month. So what can we conclude about Tommy here? So first of all, Tommy is losing money. Now we can talk about some recommendations here. And there are a couple, right? We look at some of this stuff. You know, he's eating out an awful lot, for example, like $50 a week, and then lunches, $85 a week. So, I mean, we could say he should cut back on the amount of eating out. So if we look at the numbers here, if he was to bag his lunch even, all right, if we look down here, those 35s would cancel out. So if he'd quit eating out at the cafeteria, he could maintain his lifestyle. But Tommy's got some troubles here. He's going to have to make some hard decisions, as you will too. I mean, it's not uncommon for rent to go up when you get an apartment. Food prices are always going up. Clothing prices are always going up. So you're going to have to make decisions, and you're going to have to change your budget. Even for myself, I find I change my budget every 6 months. I'm revisiting it because things have changed. So, and then if you have kids, well, scrap your budget and start fresh, because you guys cost a lot. Just so you know, you should thank your mom and dad. That's all I can say. So anyway, that's just me ranting. All right, let's look at Sally. See how Sally's doing. Now she's got an allowance of 200. Now, when I have the allowance here, if you're thinking to yourself, holy cow, she's got 200. Now, this might be supplemented by a job as well. I kind of lumped it all together. So allowance and job, and the same is true for Tommy. So she might only have a $20 allowance, but has a part-time job. The rest of these are minuses: eating out with friends, movies, Apple Store, clothing, snacks, lunches in the cafeteria. So we go through and run down her numbers here, see what happens with Sally. So the 200 and the rest is going to be subtracted from that. Minus 35, minus 15, minus 25, minus 70, minus 20, minus 35. We end up with a 0. So technically she's in the black, okay? Because she's balanced her budget. All right. So conclusion here, Sally has a balanced budget. So, good thing, she's not losing money, but she's not saving money as well. So if something big comes up, say formal comes along, say you want to go on a trip or something, you know, she's not really saving any money, and there's no kind of rainy day fund in case something goes wrong. So, I mean, I'd still, even though she's got a balanced budget, I would suggest Sally looks for potential savings. All right, and an example would be the same as our friend Tommy there. Pack lunches for school. Oops. Question mark. Because at least she'd be saving $35 a week in that case. So although she has a balanced budget, although it's in the black, still something to consider. You know, there's always room for improvement, and you're always wanting to save money. The grade 11 course, when you take the grade 11 course, they start talking about investing and how important investing is, especially at a young age. Any amount of money you can invest is a huge benefit for you as you get older and retire. So it's always good to look at the budgeting, and you should ask at home, ask your parents about budgeting and what they do, because I bet you're surprised. You don't see this. This is something that as parents, you know, we don't share it with you, obviously, and we don't talk about it, but I mean, ask if they do have a budget, if they've made a budget, because I bet you'd be surprised how many people have to worry about this, because, you know, there's a lot on the go here with jobs, with you guys growing up. You guys are always growing out of clothes and so on and so forth. So very, very important. Worksheets will reflect working with budgets. If you have any questions, make sure you ask the teacher. When it's done, show them, and then you're on your way to the next lesson. See you then.